Well, welcome back to the In Good Company podcast, where we believe that the best parts in business happen in good company. And today, I have the absolute honor to be with a longtime friend, someone who we worked together, might have been 4 or 5 years ago at this point. But it was one of those things where I just remember, even when we were no longer working together, I just remember going like, bro, do you want to grab a beer?
Yeah.
Because it was one of those moments where we don't just care, and certainly you don't just care about what can someone do for me,
right? But
you are one of those guys that really cares about the journey. You care about the people that you do it with. And so I can't think of a better guest to welcome than Matt Lochner in the building, on the pod.
I love it. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's this is a dream of mine.
Let's go.
I always thought that, someday I'd end up on a podcast, and here I am.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, I know.
First ever pod?
First ever pod.
Let's go.
First time, long time watcher.
Okay.
But the biggest thing for me is I've been on several radio shows. Fun fact.
No way.
Yes.
So like you've gotten the joke of like you've got a great face for radio type of thing.
Yeah, of course.
It's really mean when people do that.
But I am Matt from Rochester on WGR.
Come on.
Swear to God. Yeah.
Dude.
Matt from Rochester, right here. Famous.
I love that.
WGR.
Are you calling about every week?
No. There were points in time.
I love Matt from Rochester.
There were points in time where yes, calls were frequent.
For those that are not from here, just to be clear, WGR is like Buffalo Bills headquarters, which we'll get into. All the the live games, the talk radio.
Yeah.
And Matt from Rochester, he's got a lot of good things to say about those Bills.
He does. He has a lot of things.
Or sometimes bad things, depending.
Disappointing things to say.
Well, give us a rundown. Obviously, we're looking at your hat, TML Woodworks, custom staircases and railing systems.
Yes.
One of the things I'm just going to warn you, and this in the best of ways, an episode like this, we are talking about a business that you use every day. And these are things that you would never even think around. Oh yeah, like maybe someone does actually have a business like that, and their whole focus is on this business. And I love talking with business owners like yourself around things that you just take for granted, but then when you see the level of quality and excellence that your company provides, you go, that makes sense. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so it just contextually, you're totally right. One of the things that we were really competing with when we started the company in 2017 was that most houses have them, but most people weren't necessarily thinking about what they wanted them to look like. They're thinking about their kitchens, they're thinking about their bathrooms, and rightfully so. Amazing aspects of a home, and in many ways what makes a home. But in a lot of situations, you are literally walking past your stairway to get to those other areas of the home. So one of the things that we really emphasized when we started this was when we were meeting with, potential clients and potential building customers and architectural customers, we would say to them like, hey, why don't we get our process in here a little bit sooner versus the back end of a budget? Why don't we try to get in a little bit sooner so that we can kind of work some of this stuff out so it's not a shock, or there's not sticker shock at the end of it, and you're like, there doesn't necessarily have to be the sacrifice. You can have that really picturesque stairway where you're going to have so many pictures taken in your lifetime. Your kid's going to get ready for prom or anything along those lines, and they're going to walk down those stairs. And, that at the beginning of this was a real opportunity to kind of show people this can be an artistic portion of your home. It doesn't just have to be like everyone else's. And
I think I got to believe with the emergence of some of those cookie cutter type of builds, I have a Ryan home as an example.
As do I.
Here's, 10 models, 12 models to choose from. You can, of course, there's different price variations and whatever else, but it's like, here's what you get,
Right. I think one of the biggest things that we identify and is that sometimes getting into a property is really just about getting into the property.
Right.
Being able to build a home it can be done in the forefront with all the planning and all the designers and all that other stuff, and you can really grasp what somebody wants at the beginning of a project. But in circumstances like us, where we bought a house or we had a house built with a builder and a track, and we really wanted that community. So for us, it was like, okay, we really want it to be in this community. we can make some sacrifices now.
Right.
For down the road, we can really make this what we want it to be.
Got it. Do you get some pressure from the lady knowing her knowing what you can do? She's like, when are you gonna?
Yeah.
When are you gonna level up our stairwell?
Yeah. So we live in a ranch.
All right. All right.
So fun story. I do work on staircases and railing systems all day, every day. But we wanted to build a ranch, so we have a stairway into our basement.
The grand irony.
Yes, I needed some separation.
Honey, we have to have a ranch.
We need a ranch. I need a one story, but it. We have started updates. We finished our basement. We did some really cool stuff with the stairway, and we put a cable railing system in, which I love. And my 2-year-old son, almost 2, has pretty much destroyed that already.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So all the hard work is for naught. But she.
Well, he's getting an early start at taking over the business. He wants to learn how to tear it down.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
2-year-old boy. It's been a journey.
So tell us about your family life then. You got a 2-year-old. Mm-hmm. You've been married. Where'd you grow up? What's kind of a little bit of your rundown?
Sure. So I grew up in Avon. I was at Avon School District until I was about 8th grade, and then I transferred over to Lima Christian.
Okay.
Lima Christian really helped. Now, as I've gotten a small school, very tight knit community, and as I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate that a bit more. Initially as a teenager, there were these things where I was like, I really want to be in the world, and I want to figure this stuff out. And as I've gotten older and as I've had kids, I've been like, wow, there were a lot of lessons learned at that school that I wish I could, pass along. And
shout out Lima Christian. Let's go.
Christian, yes, yeah, proud alum. So, yeah, grew up in Avon, went to Lima Christian, graduated, started out college at Casanova College.
Yep.
Which RIP, no longer an institution. Yeah.
Shout out. Never mind.
Yeah, right. And the journey from there really was finding myself. Who was I going to be? Yeah. And that wasn't necessarily identified in those formative, teenage, late, early adult years, but it really laid a pathstone of this is what I'm proud of, this is what I'm not proud of type stuff, and for me, that has really helped shape who I'm becoming. Yeah. So met my wife when I was 19. My wife was a senior in high school.
Did you know it then? Did you know she was your wife?
I always had a crush on my wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, always had a crush on my wife. I wish it could go viral because I still love the picture. But my wife, when I was still in high school, she had her 16th birthday, and this is back when Facebook was like,
oh, bro,
getting kicked off. And there's a picture of her 16th birthday party, and it was of her and a friend, and I was like, the minute I saw that picture, I was like, I love her.
I love you.
Yeah, right. I love you. But she had a boyfriend.
Oh.
Yep. She had a long relationship in high school, and I just waited. And I was away at school, and we got talking on social media one day when I found out that she was single. And,
you slid into the DMs.
I did slide into the DMs. Yeah.
Excellent.
And it's really kind of history from there. We have been together a very long time. We're married 9 years.
Awesome.
Coming up, this month, 24th. So, 10 years next year. Crazy. Am I shocked? No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. We're still very much in love, and we're enjoying it. It's been I think anyone who has young children and understands the dynamic change in a relationship as you're raising kids, and but what an incredible aspect of my life is my marriage, man. Yeah. She's the best. Yeah. She's the best.
It's awesome. So. For someone listening that is in, whether they're an owner of a business or they're in kind of that blue collar service based type of business where they're having to hit deadlines and timelines, and you've got material that didn't show up on time, so then it pushes the other things back, and all that tension, all that pressure, and still having to go home. Still having to show up well for your family, for your kids, for your spouse, for yourself. Mm-hmm. How do you balance the tension of running this business that has all of these requirements, these deadlines, and still being able to show up well at home?
I think that is something that is a work in progress. So there is
Same.
Yeah. There is no, I think it's perspective. Okay. So my wife also works. She has an incredible profession. She's fantastic at her job. And so we really do our best to try to support each other's careers. Mine is, not the end all be all.
Yeah.
And, so when situations like that occur, because there are challenges, like you just said, sometimes self-imposed, but most of the time, it's something outside of your capability or grasp that occurs, and you need to be able to respond. But the biggest thing is putting myself in a place prior to coming home that is, hey, you're not the only one that had a day. And that is very hard. I'm an only child. I grew up pretty egocentric.
Yeah. You're used to being the only one with a day. Yeah.
Correct. And you would think that at the age of 35 that would go away, but it does not. But I think information is power. And knowing that about myself, sometimes it's removing myself from the how you feel in that moment and saying, hey, okay, yes, you had a difficult day or you had a challenging day. I like to look at them as challenging days. But your daughter, your 4-year-old daughter might have had a tough day too. You need to be there for her. Your son, he's figuring the world out. He's still trying to figure himself out, and you need to be able to. He needs his snuggles.
Yeah.
Your wife, she may have seen something horrific that day, or she may have, my wife's a probation officer. Yeah.
It's good. It's good context.
Good context. She may have had a really difficult day. She may have seen something terrible in traffic.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is that it's putting it away. Yeah. And figuring out the times within my day that I can kind of work through it.
It's great advice, man. Yeah. And I love the way you approached it. Like, it's not there's not this silver bullet that's like, if you do steps, 1 through 5 every single day, then you will ultimately get to this, and I think we live in a time where we're looking for a guidebook or some sort of answers out there. And I think, saying that, hey, we're all a work in progress. We are working towards these things, I think is wonderful. Talk a little bit about the family dynamic at work as well, because I think it's something that if anyone has ever worked in a family-owned, family-run business, I have a buddy who launched a restaurant, and he's just been like the cook in the back, putting in nuggets and stuff since he was like 15, probably younger, but he wasn't allowed to tell me. But now he's the full-blown cook, and they just launched a new restaurant location, all this stuff, but the whole family is in and out of the kitchen, and so-and-so's the host, and cousin Billy is the bartender, and there's a lot of challenges there too. So talk a little bit about your family dynamic at TML.
Yep. So my dad is my partner in the company, and I couldn't pick a better person for it. Would we say that about each other every day? Probably not. We are. I would say that we do our best to be as aligned as possible, and that is a journey. Both of us we have different personalities. My dad's a very laid back person, and very lovable and kind, and very thoughtful. Yeah. Not saying that I'm not those things, but I'm more driven and focused, and type A type personality, where it's like, in my head, I think about things in a timeline schedule, and where does this need to be, and my dad is much more like in love with the work and in love with the art of it, and that dynamic at times can be really challenging. We do have timelines, and we need to, yes, it looks beautiful, and I can't wait to put it in, because we need to put it in.
Yeah, right.
But I really couldn't ask for a better person to be a partner. He's my best friend. I can talk to him about anything. And what is nice about, as many challenges come with being a family business, there's a lot of positives to it too.
Yeah.
You know, he knows everything that's going on with my kids. You know, he's involved in that. You know, I get to bring, you know, he sees them from time to time on weekends when I bring them to the shop, and you know, we're all kind of just hanging out and seeing that, and them seeing him in that environment is wonderful because he loves it.
Yeah.
He loves it. You know, and I think that that's the one thing that I will always remember about my dad is that he loves it. He loves it. So, you know, I do, that dynamic is as every much as challenging as it is, it's as much rewarding, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, I could see where people have had difficulties with them probably.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love it.
That's
too.
awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's an artist, right? I mean, he sees the craft as, this is my deposit on the earth, you know, is to handcraft these things, to invite my family to be a part of this journey. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in my profession, in carpentry in particular, it's really sad because there's very few people at the age demographic. Like our team, we have a pretty young team, you know. Yeah.
For the most part, and that seems like it's kind of a rarity. You know, the more and more, the longer I've been in it, the more I have seen this pretty drastic change in almost a mass exodus of these people who are really truly gifted. They didn't have. I tell it's a funny story. So I tell my dad this all the time because sometimes we'll walk into the shop and we have really made an emphasis on improving equipment and being more efficient, and you know, I'll walk into the shop and he's using these archaic tools, and I'm like, Dad, we literally have a tool 30 feet from you that will do the same thing in 1/10 of the time.
Yeah.
But that's what he's always used. If that's what he's going to use, you know, it's kind of a running joke in the shop because I've never seen a human being in my profession use tools that are not suited for that task be used and done so effectively.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, you can't take the paintbrush from the artist. You know, he's got that specific brush that he's got to use.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting. We're a marketing agency at Thomas Media Group, and we work with a lot of home service companies, right? So with the emergence of AI, seeing some of these kids that have grown up with their phones, working in the trades in any capacity, you know, we'll go to BOCES on occasion, some of the trade schools here, and their graduating classes are getting smaller and smaller, and the amount of money that a brand new plumber off the street is requesting to make at an hourly clip, you look at and go like, what? Like, should I be a plumber? You've got AI, you've got all these things that are happening. Give us a quick pitch as to why someone should work in the trades, why someone should consider, even thinking about your own kids and kind of their futures. What is kind of that quick elevator pitch of why should someone work a job with their hands? Why should someone, you know, pour their life's work into something like that? Well,
one of the biggest things I think is, you're right. There is obviously there's in any profession, when you get to a certain extent, there's potentially a financial reward. You know, at the end of that, I really do. I chose to go to college. You chose to go to college. You know, we opted down that road. I ended up getting my master's degree. You know, I spent, you know, a large portion of my, you know, of that time and financially, you know, paying for that education, and I ended up in the trades.
Yeah.
My journey to following through with that and eventually choosing to have a career out of it, wasn't the traditional path of someone coming out. But someone coming out, you could be learning a life skill that is applicable in many other things.
Yep.
And do so without a large debt over you. You know, if you take somebody's income, it's a 6-figure salary, but then you take out all the debt for their education.
Sure.
You know, and then you take someone who chose not to go to college and went to a trade school, or, you know, went an apprenticeship or something along those lines, and then you put them in that same situation, and they're not making a 6-figure salary, but they don't have any debt.
Yeah.
And the real, what I find is that is a huge life setup in a positive way.
Yeah.
For some, you know, I think The one thing that I would say to people who they're like, maybe we want to get in the trades or whatever it may be, would be that it can be incredibly fulfilling. It can also be very challenging, but it can be different every day.
Yeah, right.
And that is fantastic. I thrive in that, personally. People who seek routine and all that other stuff, maybe they would struggle with the,
Sure.
ever-changing climate, or the, especially in upstate New York, they don't want to be outside.
Yeah,
they
sure.
don't, But I do think that there's a large opportunity in the next 2 decades even, to come into the profession, set yourself up, make a good wage, and set up a life for yourself that, you're not having to overcome something to get to something.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that my dad initially started in 2017, March of 2017, TML Woodworks. And at the time, I was working in a health system. And I had always done carpentry. I'd been doing it on the side. I had, and basically it got to the point for me where I was like, I want to feel like I'm making tangible decisions. I want to feel like I'm contributing to something.
There you go. Yep.
And even though it's small, and even though it's not, the health system I worked in had thousands of employees, and I could have had a promising career. I don't know. It was 10 years ago, but
Yeah.
I believe that for me, the choice was, hey, you can go do something and you can see real-time results. You can see things right in front of you and form in front of you. And for me, someone like my personality type, to see these projects develop and see them where they end up versus the planning phase, that's the most rewarding thing for me.
Yeah.
It's
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think any entrepreneur listening, when they are working at a job where someone else is their boss and there's thousands upon thousands of other employees, a lot of times you can go in and you can work a full day, 9 to 5, come home and go, does what I do actually make a difference?
Sure.
Could they just replace me at any moment? Yes. Sure. And by the way, that's pretty much across the board in any job, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. But as a general statement, I just think that the world is evolving, will continue to evolve. There's businesses that are already doing hybrid work, fully remote, taking Fridays off. There's businesses that have unlimited PTO. I mean, there's so much out there where it feels like the employee has more of a say than ever before when it comes to the job that they want, the role that they want. It's a very unique time. But again, I think that blue collar, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do.
Yes.
I'm going to work hard. I'm going to put my hands to the plow. That is emerging in such a beautiful way, in almost that old school way of just working hard, showing up, which really excites me because I think that, that's something that those values will always be, regardless of the profession that people choose. Yeah.
So you touched on a couple things there that I think are really critical. So the adaption. So I have seen, we at TML Woodworks, one of the things that we started to implement that we love is 4 10-hour workdays.
Okay.
So I myself, my dad, we do work Fridays, but a lot of it's administrative and, trying to just get the week figured out.
Sure.
But our staff works 4 10-hour days.
Cool.
Then on top of it, as far as paid time off and stuff like that, we have really that's become more of a priority now to start to look at this because, we think, like, how are we going to attract these young people that we're talking about? Because they see, some of their friends entering the job market and they're like, oh, they're going to work at Google. And
sure.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is potentially pulling prospective people that may want to end up, may in their mind think, man, maybe I do want to go in the trades, is that there's this kind of mentality around it that it's just going to be this grind. And I'm not going to say that it's not. It is a grind, but everybody has their own grind.
Yep.
Like every profession, every customer that I've ever had, and I love having conversations with our customers. Like, what do you do? And everybody's career path has a different negative trait.
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think a lot of people, at least from what I could perceive, is they perceive that it's just going to be this grunting and drooling and everybody's just, but the fact is that it is so much more, there's so much more thought than I think people put in perspective. One of the things that we have to really hone in on is that mathematics, math.
Oh,
I was
dude.
a horrible math student in high school.
Yeah.
But my brain understands the type of mathematics I have to use in the construction industry.
Yeah.
And, I think the challenges that are in front of you and, the ability to say, I overcame this challenge.
It's incredible.
Really tangible things that are like right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one thing that I absolutely love about the trades and the construction industry is you are seeing real-time change. And that is very cool.
And then you drive, we have a construction client, you drive past a beautiful building that they built, and it's like you could be the most important guy on the job all the way to just the drywaller. And you're walking by that building going like, I played a part in that. I was a part of this. We do a segment on our podcast called Fails of the Week.
Oh.
I think it's very easy for us when you look at businesses, successful businesses. I mean, I came to your shop, incredible stuff going on. It's like, wow, you guys are doing amazing. It's so easy to look at something from the outside and not actually hear the real life stories. Is there a fail from either this week, this month, or past couple years that maybe wasn't funny at the time, but you're like, dude, I gotta tell this story?
So it was about a couple years ago. We had we were starting to improve some of our commuting equipment. So we had just bought this brand new trailer, something that I had always, it was all black, had blacked out panels, had black rims, and it was just so in line with what I wanted to be able to roll up to our customer's house with, and it had just gotten up here from Georgia, guy drove it.
Whoa.
Yep, I paid for it.
Guy delivered it to you.
Guy delivered it to us from Georgia overnight.
How about it?
Unbelievable. Shows up, and we're getting ready to move it to the back, sign all the paperwork, do all that other stuff, and doesn't one of my guys hop into the truck and back right into jackknife my brand new trailer?
No way.
Right in front of my own eyes. Like it wasn't even like it was. I was there, and I had just signed the paperwork, and back of the truck right into the front.
Was the guy still there that dropped it off?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he didn't even know what to say. He had a very strong Southern accent. I don't know if I would have known what he said, but
what did you say?
I didn't really say anything. I do know that I called my wife. I was very upset. I didn't know what to say. I didn't, it was a complete...
Was your dad there?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, he was sad too. Yeah.
So what happened? Did you...
I don't know if
was there...
I just don't know if he thought he saw something and he started to turn maybe too abruptly. And the irony is you've been in our parking lot.
Yeah,
You've seen how huge, I mean, it's a humongous...
Yeah, you got plenty of opportunity.
Semi-trucks can do a full turn in it. And I just don't know if he was like, if he thought the wheels were straight or what, but he backed right into a corner panel. Yeah.
So did you guys repair it?
Yes. Yeah. But it was just like it's just one of those stories where, in the moment, the dread, what if I were to say? It seems so silly to say this, but this trailer was the embodiment of what I was like. Yes.
Got it.
We got the image. You and your company helped us develop a brand.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of our merch and everything like that, like our website, and we had worked so hard on that.
Yeah.
Like, just to nail it, and we did. And this, in many aspects, to me, was that's your world. In mine, I was like, okay, we finally have this piece of equipment that's gonna show up on someone's property. It's gonna present really well. So they're gonna be they're not. No one's happy to have all this equipment in their front yard, but they're like, you know what? That's not the eyesore. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
And the minute.
I'm not laughing at you. I just.
Yeah, it was. Now, in retrospect, I can look back on it and say, you know what? Like, young guy, made a mistake. Probably shouldn't have had him be the one to back it up, like maybe, but
Amazing.
yeah, but that is definitely one of those stories that I will probably forever remember. Yeah.
Wow. You still have that to this day?
I do. It still looks great. Very happy with it.
Beautiful.
But man,
Every time you see it, you're like,
every time I see it, yeah. I mean, we did fix it, but
Oh, yeah.
But I know. I know.
but
what
deep
happened.
down,
yeah, I know.
it's a scar.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Yeah.
All right, let's dive into some positive news. The time that we are recording this, the Buffalo Bills just beat the Ravens 41-40. Unbelievable comeback. How long have you been a Bills fan? Like, talk a little bit about what do you do outside of work that gives you have some fun, you kind of cool off a little bit. Certainly the Bills are in there.
The Bills are in there. The Bills are a big part of that. I feel, I in Western New York, I feel comfortable saying this and not feel like a loser, but they are absolutely a huge part of my weekend. I am thinking during the, I'm talking about them during the week, I'm listening about it, and then on the weekends I'm thinking about what we're going to make.
You're calling WGR.
Huge.
What's up?
Huge.
It's Matt from Rochester.
It's Matt from Rochester again. Wide receiver train.
Yeah.
But so yeah, what a win. What a win. What a start to a year, and what a time to be a Bills fan. So I became a Bills fan. I think I was born one. My dad and my uncles every Sunday would get together and they'd watch every game, and I just remember. I remember the days when when the blackout rules didn't exist.
Oh yeah,
they were terrible, and you wouldn't get to see them, and we'd listen to them on the radio in the basement, and every Sunday though it was like clockwork, so my whole life, I have been a humongous fan.
Me too, man. I actually have a really funny story about the Bills, and then we're going to get into the rapid fire hot seat questions here. So I hope you're feeling nervous because those are.
I'm anxious.
You should be. Okay. So, quick Bills story. For those that don't know, the Buffalo Bills are the only team in NFL history to go to 4 straight Super Bowls. I don't think it'll ever happen again. Unbelievable. They also lost all 4 of those Super Bowls. So, I was born in '89. I believe that run started 1990 or 91, something like that. So, every single Super Bowl in my formidable years, my parents would have a Super Bowl party, and the Bills were obviously always playing. So, the first year that the Bills did not make the Super Bowl, they had another Super Bowl party. And the first memory I have of my Buffalo Bills fandom was looking at my dad and going, why aren't the Bills playing? Because my whole life experience was, well, you're throwing a party, and you're throwing a party because the Bills are playing. Now I know people just throw Super Bowl parties, and the Bills...
And 31 years later,
I was going to say, the
waiting.
Bills have not made it since. So anyway, that's my fun Bills story, but I'm a huge fan as well. I went to St. John Fisher where they have their training camp. I know your wife did as well. Big part of just culture around here. I think for those that aren't from upstate New York, Western New York, it's hard to put into words how, I heard it kind of described on, I think, that Four Falls of Buffalo documentary. It's like the Dallas Cowboys have the skyscrapers, the beautiful restaurants and facilities, and all these things that you can choose to go from. And in Buffalo, we got the Bills.
Yeah, we got the Bills. I mean, I think that's a great way to put it. And, honestly, I just look back at this period of time. I remember sitting on my couch when we broke the drought and thinking to myself, like, oh, my God, this really happened. I almost cried. I was like, this is...
Andy Dalton.
Yeah, Andy Dalton. Yeah. The Red Rocket.
Not even on our team.
Just huge fan. I still remember the emotion of that. Like, I can't believe. And
it was on New Year's Eve.
My wife, who she middles. She middles. Whether
It's all right.
Yeah, football. My
wife too.
But even she can see the greatness that's going on. I mean, I've been, and obviously the last few years obviously have ended in disappointment, and at some point there's only one team that doesn't. But what a road, man! What a road! What greatness are we witnessing?
It's wild.
Yeah.
I grew up in Northern Virginia being a Bills fan, and from middle school all throughout high school, that was the drought. So people are looking at me like, "Why are you a Bills fan?" And I'm like, "Dude, if I could choose not to, I would.
I can't not care."
But I'm in. There's nothing I can do. All right, let's go into rapid fire hot seat questions.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. In the morning, are you a coffee or energy drink guy?
Energy drink. Yeah.
Which one?
I like the Celsius packets.
Packets?
Yeah, I'm.
You mix them in?
Yeah, because I am a firm believer that I love seltzer waters.
Same.
But I can't have them all the time.
Right.
And so I'm trying to cut back on the carbonation. So.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. What's your favorite Buffalo Bills memory?
Nate Clements knocking Tom Brady out and popping the helmet off. On the sideline.
Brilliant.
Great hit.
That was back when it was like turf, bro. That was
crushed
like
him. Yeah,
that was amazing. Yep. What's the best piece of woodwork that you've ever made, or maybe a project that you're most proud of?
We have a table that I made probably 5 or 6 years ago. It's just it's a sofa table. You know, it sits behind our stuff, but I love it. I don't know. It's not necessarily the joinery or the material or whatever, but that sofa table has traveled with us from our first house to our new house, and it has transformed from being like blanket holder, record player holder to kids toy holder.
Love it, man.
You know, and I never thought when I made it that it was going to be like maybe this heirloom thing that we just always have, but yeah, I would say that's my favorite piece of
that's awesome
woodwork I've made.
And it's yours.
It is.
So you made it and it's yours. I love it. What's your favorite tool in the shop?
This may perplex a lot of people, but there's a belt sander that they no longer make.
Okay.
Porter Cable. Shout out Porter Cable. It is very small, very tiny, but it gets into these very, small spaces, and it's almost like it's a belt sander, which is intended to take away a lot of material very rapidly.
Yeah.
But it's tiny, and I've yet to find a piece of machinery that runs as smoothly and consistently as that piece of machinery. It's the most helpful thing that we have, and you can't get them anymore.
How about it?
I scour eBay.
Yeah. Okay.
I do. I scour eBay and buy parts for it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Music that's playing in the shop. What kind of genre do we have cooking?
Depends. It all depends. Probably based on who is working out there the most. I'm gonna say, just because it's my dad, it's typically probably Rush or Rush Radio.
Nice.
just every day.
Nice. The guys in the shop just have their own headphones in. They're like, enough of Rush, please.
Yeah. We've had interventions about the music selections, but he's very passionate about it.
That's a big topic. Especially when you're working in a shop with other people.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, man. Well, thank you for being on the pod today, man.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely awesome to hang with you, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of In Good Company, where we really do believe that the best parts in business happen in good company. Take care.
Thanks for listening to In Good Company. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. For more information or to connect with Mike, visit him online at thomasmediagroup.co or on Instagram at Michael L. Thomas. Thanks again for listening, and remember, the best of business happens in good company. We'll see you next time.